In unity, we seek to have a direct experience of the presence of God in our bodies right here now on earth. We do our spiritual teachings to directly feel the whole Spirit, the Holy Spirit of God in our body right here and right now. We don't have a bunch of theology on a rope for you to take home and belch at other people and bother and annoy them with your bad breath about how you think God is or isn't. But instead, we bring you a direct experience of the Beloved right here now on earth for you to have while you're here. We are not about you learning something new, but uncovering what's already present within you. When I went to ministerial school 31 years ago, can you believe that? It said Unity School of Practical Christianity. Practical in the sense that it's meant to be practiced in every particle and atom of your being. That's where the light is meant to shine from. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder, the radical revolutionary co-founder of Unity, in the turn of the century said, if in all this babble, and he called most of what was being practiced in religion and religiosity babble then, if I can't go to headquarters and have a direct experience of God in my life, in my body, then the whole thing's a fraud and I'm calling it off. And so he began to sit and meditate every day at the same time. And he began to feel the rising of what he called the 12 powers of man within him. What we've called here the Kundalini, the Mana, the Prana, the Ki, the Chi, the 7 chakras. And he began to feel this illuminating energy rising within him. And he developed a relationship with the divine presence. And that became the cornerstone of what Unity has always been about. And in the process of doing that, we need to be willing to look at everything that supports that and everything that takes away from that. We need to be willing to look at all the things that bring us love, joy, and bliss, and be aware of all the things that we suffer from that don't. And be aware of both. Not run or hide from any part of our divine human experience while we're here now on this earth. And so today we're dealing with one soul, one love, one heart. That's our excuse for getting together. And the book, by the way, we have a few copies left. I still think you might want to get this. We're in chapter 8 now. And he talks about in the book the 5 hindrances to our enlightened state of mind. And our willingness to look at those 5 hindrances and be aware of what they are. So my friends, the moment you and I walked through the doorway, marked separation, we began Mission Impossible. My assignment, my friends, if you're willing to take it, are to deal with the 5 hindrances. Mission Impossible. Here they are. Here are the things that everyone here is working on. They come in 5 different categories. You know them well. Lust and greed. Hatred and ill will. Agitation. Sloth and torpor. And doubt. Anybody familiar with any of these hindrances? Or all of them? If you're here on... That's enough. If you're here on... You're dealing with one or all of these 5 hindrances. They're not somebody else's problem. They're your situation to look at and deal with and to be present with. So if you're here on spaceship planet Earth with other people, you're noticing your classmates, your good old buddies are here with you, and they're all dealing with one or more of the top 5 tunes that we all play. And we learn to develop a relationship with not only the things that are divine in us, but the things that cover that light that shines forth from us, through us. We develop a relationship with all beings, knowing that no one's here by accident, and everybody you're meeting is a part of manifesting one or all of these things so you can see your own inner work in a form, in a relationship you can deal with in the world. That's what our assignment is. That's our Mission Impossible. It's what it brings us to planet Earth every time. So there's no accident that finds you here in this moment doing just that. The first concept, the one that's most important, that all the rest of the hindrances rest upon, is an awareness of the idea of sin. Sin. Original sin. Here's a concept that we've accepted for a long time. Originally, what it meant in first century Christianity was very simple. If someone said you sinned, it means you missed the mark. It's an archer's term. Shoot again. It means you've strayed from the path. Anything that keeps you unaware of your divine nature is a sin. That's what it meant in the beginning. So that definition is very much like the 5 hindrances. They're the list of the different ways in which we miss the mark and forget our divine nature. That's all they are. They're hindrances that keep us unawake to the divine presence rushing and moving through us. What's happened over the years is quite obvious. We have made our innocence something ugly and fearful. We have made ourselves in our own image and likeness and said, now we're no longer originally innocent, we are stained. There's something fundamentally wrong with everybody in this room. And you are doomed by birthright to stay stuck in that state of uncleanliness. You've fallen from grace. And the only way to return to it is to accept somebody else to take the sin from you. By the way, that was in the Old Testament with Aaron. He put it on top of the goat. It was called a scapegoat. Get rid of it. And what we did was we just made Jesus into a scapegoat. Here, take this sin. Get rid of it. Give it to somebody else. But we know in truth, whatever we give is first received by who? By us. So by focusing on the problem, we never get to the solution. Because we're so ingrained with being originally stained and there being something wrong with us. And you live in a body long enough and it begins to seem that that's true. So you get proof of that. But the brain is an amazing mechanism. The imagination is a powerful tool to awakening. Every time you imagine something and have a concept about something, it goes through the brain, and they're tracking this now scientifically. And there's a groove that goes through the left and right hemisphere that creates a neural pathway in your brain. It becomes like a long-playing record album, and pretty soon you begin to believe the concepts you've been holding in your mind, which produce what you see after its kind. And pretty soon that's so ingrained in us, it's really hard to break away from that, unless you have practices that help you develop a relationship with this part of yourself. So when we say original sin is original only to you, and that God does not judge or condemn, we judge and condemn ourselves, then we're on our way to a different kind of concept. Here's one you've heard before. You are beautiful, pure, and holy. You are as God created you. Nothing I have ever done to cover up the light in me has touched that light in any way. I am a beloved, holy child of God. That's a new neural pathway being formed in your brain, and it's backed by divine intention by all of those who've gone down that pathway. The Jesus, the Buddha, the Mohammeds, all of the great teachers who've walked down that path are joining you every time you say, I am as God created me. I am a holy child of God, made in her image and after her likeness. I am free right now in this moment if I choose to be. When Jesus says in the Bible, be ye therefore perfect, he was talking about that original nature. Everyone is perfect. The Master sees you not as you become, but as you are. You're perfect, you're holy, you're pure, you're asleep to that. And you're hindering yourself with any one of these different 5 things. Develop a relationship with them so when they pop up on the screen of your life, you're not so overwhelmed by these illusions and delusions of our individual and collective mind. That's what we're doing here. Great example of how that works in real life. It's Wednesday. Now I'm dealing with, let's see, I was on hatred and ill will, a personal favorite of mine, in the form of anger. There was anger. So it's Wednesday, we're getting ready for our Wednesday night class, and I have a little routine I do. I have a cup of coffee, full cup of coffee, and it's about 5:45, and we're sitting down at the computer at the desk, and our kids are watching us on Skype from France. Lethea and Olivier and a whole French family. They're there, they're on, and they're watching us. And I sit down at the table, and the coffee cup, a full. You know how full they are? How do they ever get that full? They're only that full when you spill them. How much coffee is in this? Goes slopping all over the tax return form that we had, and all the bills that we're paying, and Maureen's working on the ledger, and we've got all these receipts, and it slopped over everything. Dribbled over on the keyboard, and Maureen goes, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what a mess, what a mess." And I went, oh my God, what a mess, I'm so sorry. And I just went immediately into the groove of self-hatred and ill will towards myself. I felt terrible for what I had done. And it's being broadcast to all these people in France. They're watching me completely blow the lesson. Right there in 3D animation, they're watching. Oh, I'm talking in French. So much for watching him on YouTube. What a jerk. He's like the rest of us. It's slopping all over the place. I feel terrible. I feel awful. I feel a lot of self-hatred and ill will towards myself. So I did what a lot of us do in those moments. I wanted to try to clean the mess up. So there was the stimulation of the spilled coffee, there was the thoughts and feelings I had about doing that, and then there was the storyline about, well, a lot of my life isn't working right now, and then all of a sudden you join that pity party, and everybody starts to join you. You know, you're really not doing that well right now. And all of a sudden it's like, what is going on here? One spilled cup of coffee. There it is. And so I went in the other room, and I took all the papers out, all 50 of them, and I went into our family room, and I put them on the coffee table, and I put them on the mantle, and I'm trying to, you know, fix this mess, and I'm doing this, and Maureen's in there. And I went to the next level that we all go to when we feel that kind of discomfort and anger and hurt in ourselves. I went to being angry at her. This is really her fault. She didn't have all those stupid papers all over the stupid mess. I've been telling her for weeks to clean this up, and if I haven't, I'm telling her now. It's really her fault that this happened. This is a mess. This is her fault. This is why this happened. And you know how you do that? And all of a sudden in that moment, I'm doing what the book calls, I'm making someone who needs to be a subject of my heart an object in my mind. And now I'm mad at her. I'm mad at her because I'm mad at myself. She'd already really let it go. But I got to tell you, in no way that I had let it go yet. So I'm in the other room, and I'm trying to be a man, fix everything up, and oh, it's a big mess. Oh, and there's coffee all over the papers, and you know, it's a big mess, and I'm getting caught up in it. And Maureen goes, "The kids want to talk to you. Your grandson wants to talk to Grandpa." And I said, "No, I'm going to make everybody suffer now. I'm too busy cleaning up this mess here." So silly. And then I'm on the floor on my knees, and sometimes, friends, you belong on your knees. I'm on the floor, and this book that we're studying, and this is not a story, is laying on the floor, thrown on the ground after the big spill, and I put the papers on top, and here's what I read. On hatred and ill will. When the mind exists, undisturbed in the way, the truth, and the light, nothing in the world can offend. And when a thing can no longer offend, it ceases to exist in the old way. Wow. Wow. But his name is Master Sing Song Ding Dong, and he doesn't have a family and a wife to do that. And he didn't just spill coffee all over the table. He's somewhere in a cave somewhere. I know that when I'm in a cave by myself. So when I get around you people, this gets to be a bothersome difficulty. But I looked at it again, just in case. You might be right. When the mind exists, undisturbed in the way, nothing in the world can offend. And when a thing can no longer offend, it ceases to exist in the old way. Isn't that the truth? And the way, and the light. So I came back and I sat down and I talked to my family, and we're in the car, and I'm still feeling it. And Maureen, she let it go. She goes, "You know what it's like, honey? It's like the other day when we were standing out in front of the house, and Maureen and I do mock kung fuing with each other. We used to take martial arts. I was doing my Muhammad Ali. I just watched the Ali thing, and she just got like this and went pop, and popped me right in the side of the head, and with a good back fist. And at that moment, I was offended at that. It hurt. And so I had to walk away. Because I knew she didn't mean it, but I needed to walk away and not respond from it. And she said, that's exactly what just happened. I let it go. And I knew you hadn't done anything wrong. You wouldn't deliberately spill coffee all over everything. I let it go, but I have not let it go yet. Do you feel what that's about? In the book, he talks about the greatest teaching that Ram Dass got from his teacher, Maharishi Mahesh. He asked him, what did you learn? What's the teaching that's the most powerful for you in your life today? And he said to me, my teacher, to Ram Dass, he'd say to him, Ram Dass, give up anger. Ram Dass, give up anger. Ram Dass, give up anger, because Ram Dass was mad a lot. Never throw anybody out of your heart for any reason whatsoever. Give up anger. Work with that part of that energy in you. The Buddha said that anger is like taking your hand in a hot fire and grabbing a coal and throwing it at somebody else. Wow, what a picture. Pema Chodron said it's like eating rat poison and expecting the rat to die. Our friend Thich Nhat Hanh said that when you're expressing your anger, my friend, you're not reducing it, you're rehearsing it. Powerful, powerful, Buddha-filled teachings that are given to us to deal with what's going on internally inside of us before we express it and press it out externally to somebody else. Because all that you give is given unto you. And the problem with this work, this practice, is if I'm not willing to do it with her, how can I expect anybody else to do it? The moment you make anyone an object, they're subject to all kinds of insane behaviors. We do that with people we go to war with, don't we? We make them an object. They're just those, you know, the Holocaust. They're the Jews. No, they're the Islamic fundamentalists. No, they're the Christians. No, they're the whites. They're the blacks. They're the Chinese. We make them an enemy and another. And then we're capable of all kinds of madness in how we act and react when someone is no longer in our hearts, but only exists in our heads. This is powerful, Buddha-filled work that you're doing here. And it'll take all of your effort to be aware of this inside of yourself. And the one place where it is absolutely clearly stated that needs no metaphysical interpretation is Jesus talking to us in the Bible about anger. And I don't know how this got to stay in the Bible, to be quite honest. You have heard that it was said to those of ancient times and ancient minds and ancient days, you shall not murder or kill, and whoever murders or kills will be liable to the judgment. But I say to you that if you are angry with a brother or a sister, you'll be liable to judgment. And if you insult a brother or sister, you'll be liable to the council. And if you say, this gets this subtle, you fool, you'll be liable to hell, the hell of fire. So when you are offering your gift on the altar, if you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First be reconciled with your brother or sister, and then come and offer your gift. Come to terms quickly with your accuser while you're on the way to the court with him, or your accuser may hand you over to the judge to the guard, and you'll be thrown into prison. Truly, 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 I say to you, you'll never get out until you have paid the last penny. Now that is some clear stuff about anger and projecting it onto somebody else. That it is something you're receiving first for yourself. It's really interesting to watch, because I remember the days of the 70s when we were told the problem why we're all getting sick and ill is we are repressing our anger. Remember the 70s? Everybody was holding back their anger, repressing it. So we all got into expressing our anger. Express it, take it out there, but neither repressing or expressing in either extreme case is good for us at all. It's still keeping the problem alive in us. It's still keeping us projecting that energy out onto others. And every time we do that, we create the world we see today. So the work that you and I are doing today is phenomenally important, not only for the healing of our own relationships with others, but for the healing of the whole planet. So when we got home that night, I got up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I sat and I do what I do. I meditated, and I got to what was going on, because what's going on is right beneath the surface of our anger, there's always some sadness and some grief and disappointment about how something either worked or didn't work in our life. For me in that moment, what it was is I didn't work the principle, I didn't do the truth right. I got all upset, I got all angry. I was disappointed and sad with myself. And when I got up to share that with Maureen in the morning, she was no longer the object of my discomfort. She became the subject of my heart. And then we were the beloveds again, awakening to who we are. You see, the admission criteria for awakening is really quite simple. It doesn't require that we get any of this perfect, that we just be willing to take a look at, oh, which one am I working on now? Oh, it's sadness, but it's actually hatred and ill will. And that's not true about who I truly am. And that moment that you're able to embrace it that way and take it in rather than press it out, there's a moment of heaven being made known on earth. You know, and here we all are. So take a look at all the different ways in which we get to practice the presence of these teachings. Let's go to our lesson summation for a moment. So congratulations! If you're a resident of this crazy planet, on Earth right now, in a spacesuit, you have met the admission requirements of suffering from one or all of the 5 hindrances. Lust, greed, hatred of will, agitation, sloth, and torpor, and doubt. Welcome to planet Earth. This is what we're working on. This is where the true healing happens. 2, the people who are here on Earth with us, our fellow classmates, are exactly the ones who need to be here. They're exactly the ones who we need to interact with in order to get free of our own stash of hindrances. When the mind exists undisturbed in the way, the truth, and the light, nothing in the world can offend. And when a thing can no longer offend, it ceases to exist in the old way. It's still there, but you get to share your heart with someone and just say, I'm sad today. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's not about you. And then that person holds your hand. And Maureen and I walk into your family room, and we clean the mess up together. Yeah, put our papers back in order. It's not mission impossible. It's the vision of possibility, of awakening to who we truly are. And we do it in relationship with another. Enjoy your practice. Namaste.